Let's bring in my Sky News colleague, former Labor Minister Graham Richardson. Richo, let's start with the latest news first. The new Liberal leader and Nationals leader, what's your take?
Well, I think Dutton was a natural choice, and I think he'll be a pretty good opposition leader. He's certainly a good attacker. I was going to use the phrase attack dog, but I think it's an unfortunate phrase. I think Dutton is a very effective guy. And if he can moderate his behaviour just a little bit, he's going to be formidable. He'll be very difficult to handle.
And for David Littleproud and the Nats, moving on from Barnaby Joyce, it's clearly a generational change to the 46-year-old Nat.
Yeah, it's even more than a generational change. It seems to me that they are moving, and they've just worked out you can't go too far right and win. And I think the Nationals have worked that out. And if anything, you know, they are more in touch with their base than any political party, I reckon. They actually know what the people in the bush think. I've got to give them that. And I don't think they make any move without considering those people.
Richo, the first week of Prime Minister Albanese, or for a bit more than a week now, what's your assessment? How's he gone?
Well, it's too early. You don't give people a pass mark or a failure on the basis of their first week. And so it's too early to tell. But he certainly hit the ground running. To be off on a plane and meeting all sorts of important people around the world means that he'll get a sense of what his job really is about. And that is, you know, being the leader of a country, not just a party. It's a big change. But I know Anthony, I've known him for a long time, and he can handle it. This bloke's going to be, I think, a terrific Prime Minister. Not because he's a friend of mine, but because I've had an opportunity to observe him up close. And I know how broadly he thinks. I know how broadly he acts. This bloke's going to be pretty good.
Very much a strategic thinker on the politics, and yesterday when we had I interviewed him over the weekend, and he was very much talking about the need for a new type of politics, inclusive sort of language that he's using. Will that resonate with people?
Oh, I think it will, but of course you've got to deliver on it, and so to resonate properly, the mob will need to see action. Now, I have no doubt they'll get it, but they haven't seen any yet. He hasn't had time for it. But what he's got, you know, remember what Neville Rand said, by the time you're absolutely sick of saying it, the mob are just starting to hear it. And so you're going to hear a lot more of those phrases from Anthony.
Richo, as we look back at the events of May 21 and the result, what's your sort of overarching view of what went on and how Labor was able to win for the fourth time from opposition since World War II?
I think that Morrison had worn on them. And whether that's fair or unfair doesn't make much difference. It's just a fact. They wanted to get rid of Morrison. I think that was a huge factor. I think the other thing is that Anthony represents the fairy tale, coming from an impoverished background with a single mum in a council flat, to hit the top job in the land. It's obviously a terrific story, and it's one that people like hearing. So he had quite a bit going for him, and we've also got to remember the bloke himself. He is extremely bright, and he's tough, really tough. So I think Anthony's got all the makings of being a great Prime Minister, and I'll be fascinated to see how it works out over the coming few years.